What would it feel like to be truly, deeply happy, regardless of your circumstances? Did you know that happiness is a choice and not a result? That you can create your life on purpose? Join us now to learn more. This is the Time to Rise and Thrive radio show. And here's your host, mindset coach, and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott.
Hello and welcome. Welcome to Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott. Today, our show is called Your Most Important Relationship. Have you ever considered this? Have you ever considered that your most important relationship is the relationship you have with you? I know it's an interesting idea, right? So this is what we're going to be playing with today, and I've done things a totally different way. We are going to have some pointers, we're going to have some tips, all of that sort of stuff, but it's going to be an interesting show. So just before we get going here, I would like to just share some information. New people come all the time, and maybe you don't know who I am. So I am Jackie Mott. I live in London, Ontario. I have a business called Subliminal Mindset Mastery. And what I do for people, I do a lot of stuff for people because I love working with people to help shift their mindset. And sometimes we can do it really, really quickly. So when we shift our mindset, sometimes we can actually create a completely different way of being. And I'm going to share with you what the subliminal soundtrack is in just a couple of minutes. But when we shift that soundtrack around, it just blows the doors off sometimes, those things that are holding us back, the lack mentality, the feelings of being unworthy, all kinds of stuff. And my hope and my goal as a coach is to give my clients the tools and the support that they need so that they can get to a point where they are empowered enough that they don't need me anymore. That is my goal as a coach. So if you are somebody who is struggling with any mindset issues, you are in the right place. Please stick with us. Grab yourself a pen and paper and stick with us throughout the show because I'm going to give you some really great information and also how to contact me and what's available to you outside of the show and this forum. So, on Time to Rise and Thrive, what do we talk about? We talk about our subliminal soundtrack and how to make it work for us rather than against us. We talk about seeing our unique beauty, our value, and the contribution that we are to the world. It is such a wonderful thing. Like I absolutely find this whole thing fascinating. It's really exciting because you get to hear, where these stories come from and how they were created and the effects that they've had in a person's life. And then sometimes we just go like literally like this, and all of a sudden it's just bang, the change happens. It's fantastic. I love it so much. All right, so enough about me. So today we are talking about this most important relationship in your world. You may not have considered this. I know I didn't even think about this for a very, very long time, but your most important relationship is the one you have with you. There is only one person who will be with you from birth right through to death, through every challenge, through every celebration, through every breakthrough, through every circumstance and experience you have in your life. There is one person, and that is you. So we need to be conscious of this and we need to get to a place where we can honor ourselves. And here's why. So, our subliminal soundtrack, very quickly, this is what this is. We all have this like soundtrack, this loop of messages that plays in the back of our mind all day, every day. And it is made up of these little bits of information that we've picked up throughout our life. So every relationship you've ever been part of, every conversation you've ever had, lesson you've ever learned, every single experience you have ever had in your life has given you little bits of information that have gotten stored back there on this subliminal soundtrack. And what we use that information for is to create our belief systems about everything. What does it mean to love or be loved? What does it mean to be in a relationship? What does it mean to have money or not have money? What does anything mean? That is created by the subliminal soundtrack. And the statistic is that we have between 60 and 80,000 thoughts go through our head every single day. I did the math on this, and that works out to in the neighborhood of 2,500 per hour and in the neighborhood of 50 per minute. So if you just allow yourself to think about that for a second, I promise you there is no way. I'm a pretty smart lady and I cannot catch 50 thoughts going through my head every minute. So what that really tells us is that most of the stuff is happening way back here where we're not aware of it. So when we pull that stuff out and we look at what's actually there, we can figure out what's serving us and what isn't serving us. We can figure out what is holding us back and what is propelling us forward. And then we can start to shift those belief systems so that it moves us toward our goals and helps us to achieve the person that we want to be while we're on this planet, while we have this time in our relationships, in our work, whatever the case may be. So that's your subliminal soundtrack. And the really the most interesting part of this for me is that we will believe, I'm sorry, what we believe to be true will be true for us, even if it is based on completely incorrect information. So, just for a really quick example here, if I've lived my entire life, and say my mom, and I mean, this is not true, but say my mom has told me every year for my entire life that February is the hardest month of the year. Okay. That is going to be stuck back here because she's my mom, because I trust her, because I believe what she says to be true. So I guarantee you, mid January, I'm already starting to brace. I'm already starting to brace for February because it's right around the corner. And good God, it is the hardest month of the year. Now, the interesting part of what I just said is that there is nothing to base that thought, that belief, that opinion on, except that that's what my mom told me. There's not a speck of evidence. Do you see what I'm saying? So I will have adopted that and I will create the circumstances in my life. I will create the stress, the limitations, everything in my life around that belief. February is hard. I better get ready. Got it? That's how it works. Okay. So today, this is how we're going to talk about this whole subliminal soundtrack and how it relates to this topic, this relationship that you have with yourself. So I don't know about anybody else. I'm just going to throw this out there. I do know some people, and I would say that this is one of the truths that I grew up with, was that being selfless was a really great way to be. And caring too much about yourself, tooting your own horn too much made you arrogant. It made you selfish. It made all of these negative things, right? So, what happens? Think about what we just talked about with your subliminal soundtrack. What happens? Then we grow up and we believe and we start to put into action these belief systems that tell us that being selfless is it's such a great way to be. It is, that's what's going to get you into heaven, right? That's what's going to get you into heaven. This selfless giving, all that kind of stuff. And I don't want to be misunderstood. There is nothing wrong with being a kind, compassionate person who gives, whatever they can to help other people. That's who I am. There is nothing wrong with being that way. But we're missing a piece of the equation. We're missing a huge piece of the equation because what that belief system actually does is it causes us to not appreciate who we are, to not take care of ourselves, to not treat ourselves with honor and care and concern and respect in the same way that we would treat anyone else. Do you see what I'm saying? So we believe that we must be selfless because that's what's going to get us into heaven, or that's what makes us a good person, or whatever the story is. Because we've bought into that story, we then neglect ourselves. Do you see it? It's so easy when you start to follow the pieces. It's so easy to see how this happens to people. And the problem with that is number one, you're going to exhaust yourself, and you are no good to anybody if you were exhausted. No good to anybody. And number two, you are probably never going to actually discover how unique and beautiful and gifted and talented you are. Okay. So here's what happens when you shift that, when you flip that on its ear and you turn it into, I believe that my most relationship is with Jackie. I believe that it is important to value and honor and respect myself. I believe that putting healthy boundaries in place is a very healthy thing in relationship because I know who I am and I know what I bring to the table and I know my value. I will not be disrespected. So as long as you want to honor those boundaries, great, let's have some fun. But if you want to cross those boundaries, I'm sorry, you're out. And there's no three strikes here. There's no three strikes in my world. You can put whatever rules you have around this in your own world, but in my world, disrespected, off you go. Done. Because I can't do it. I have so much to do. I have so many exciting things. I have people that I love and adore and who do the same for me. Do you see what I'm saying? I want to be the best Jackie that I can be for the people I love, for this show and whomever is listening on the other side, for the clients, for whomever. I want to be the very best person that I can be in the time that I have on this planet. And that requires me to treat myself with care and respect and to honor myself, my needs, and my boundaries. Okay? So do you see? But did you even see what just happened with my body? As we were talking about those two different things, did you see the intensity? Did you see that power, that empowerment rise up when I was talking about what happens when I honor me? What happens when I make me a priority? It's so wonderful. I lived this life for such a long time, and I don't want to get into blame or shame or garbage. There's just no point, but I picked up these things throughout my life, these ideas that made me behave in a certain way. And the fact of the matter was that at a certain point, I couldn't do it anymore. There was nothing left to give. Do you see what I'm saying? And this is the stuff we're going to talk about today. So I wrote an article, and I haven't been very well the last couple of weeks. So today I decided to make this kind of easy on myself. All right. So I wrote an article several years ago. It's called 5 Reasons You Need to Be a Top Priority in Your Own Life. Now, I wrote this from a perspective of a woman because I am a woman. And I want to be very clear that I am not saying that these are only women issues or that there aren't men out there that are having the same challenges, the same kinds of problems, or any other gender stuff, right? Like, no judgment here. But I have written this from the perspective of a woman because I am a woman and because most of my clients are women. So it makes sense in my world, but there is no judgment here. And if this applies to you, please run with it. I am going to give you some really great information from this article. And if you would like the full copy, find me on Facebook at Subliminal Mindset Mastery and just send me a quick message. I will send it to you. No problem at all. No problem at all. So, what I do want to share with you in this first segment, because normally what we do is we keep the third segment for when I give you all of the sort of the framework of how to do this and why it's important. Um, this week, we're going to do it differently. There are 5 steps here. So, I'm going to give you a little bit of an intro to what the article is about. And then when we go into our next segment, we're going to go into 1 and 2. The third segment will be 3 and 4. And the last segment, I'm going to go 5. And then I'm going to give you the what to do. Okay. So grab your pen and paper now. Grab your pen and paper now before we go to our first break or while we're on our first break. Here's how we're going to start it today. So the first few lines of the article go like this. Have you noticed that there's sort of an epidemic among women these days? It's true. Collectively, we seem to have lost a bit of our minds. No, that's never happened to you, has it, Christine? I'm sure that's never happened to you. Christine's my amazing producer on the show today. I know it sounds ridiculous, but let me ask you this. When someone tells you that you need to take care of yourself, what's your response? If you answer with, yes, you're right, and I will book that into my calendar right now, you can stop reading now. You don't need my help. But if you're like I used to be and a lot of the women that I've known, your response goes something like this. Yeah, I hear you, but I have absolutely no idea how to do that. And even if I did, where would I find the time? Where would I find the time? If that sounds like you, then I promise you, you're going to get some really good gold nuggets as we go through the show. So grab your pen and paper. And don't forget, these shows are recorded, so you can always find the recording later if you didn't have time to grab everything as we go through the show. And I know Christine is really great about grabbing these things and putting them up on the chat room. So you can also find them there. All right. So you are with me on Time to Rise and Thrive. I am your host, Jackie Mott. We are going to go to our first break right now. We are on Inspired Choices Network, and inspiredchoicesnetwork.com also has an app. I'm just going to throw that in there too. So grab your phone and you just go to the whatever the app store thingy is. You download it. It's easy peasy to use. I've even tried it and I am not a good technological person. So you can do that too. All right. So we're going to go to our first break. When we come back, I'm going to give you those first two reasons why you need to make yourself a top priority in your own life, because the relationship that you have with you is the most important one that you will ever have. So stick with us. We will be back in just a moment.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Time to Rise and Thrive show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now, back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Jackie Mott. Today's show, we are talking about your most important relationship, the one that you have with you. So we are going to dig into the stuff, and I am so excited to share this with you guys, because this is the stuff. It took me so many years, and I mean, I had to work with counselors, I had to work with coaches, I had to take programs and all kinds of stuff to learn this stuff. So condensing it every week, I condense the stuff in a show. I give you as much wisdom as I can, or at least some things to consider and think about. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do right now, before we get into the first reason why you need to be a top priority in your own life, is to consider this. There is only one you. There has only ever been and only ever will be one you. One person born with all of your gifts, all of your talents, all of your challenges, all of your physicality. Only one you will ever be. And you are uniquely gifted and uniquely equipped to do a specific thing while you're here. Have you ever considered that? It's mind boggling, I know, but just consider that. And as we go through the show, maybe that'll start to get a little bit more clear to you. All right. So right now we are going to jump into reason number one. Reason number one is you cannot serve from an empty bucket. Now, I have a beautiful friend named Laura. She is a chiropractor here in London. She is brilliant and amazing and wonderful. And she was in fact, I'm going to give her credit for introducing me to the energy world. I'm going to give her that credit, because I believe that her sort of pushing me in to attend a certain event was the place where I met some of my biggest and greatest teachers. So I'm going to give her credit for introducing me to this world. And one of the things that she has said to me over and over again, not so much recently because I've gotten a lot better at this, But years ago, when I wasn't good at this, you cannot serve from an empty bucket. So, what does that mean? What does that mean? I have this exercise. We've done it on the show before. If you've seen it, then just give me a second, okay? Because I'm sure there's somebody that has. So, I want you to consider this. This is your water bottle. All right. Your water bottle is filled with a limited amount of water. So if this is the only water that you have available to you to consume over the course of the day, then you're probably going to be a bit careful about it. You're not going to just sit down and chug the whole thing back. You're going to be a little bit reasonable about how you portion it out. Okay. So now I want you to take this and imagine that this is your energy. This right here is the energy that you have in any given day. All right. This is the energy that you have before you will run out of juice and you'll just fall over. All right. So, what happens? What happens when we are putting ourselves in this position where it's all on us and we are responsible for everything and nobody else can help us and we are going too hard for too long? We deplete this bottle. So what happens when we get to the end of the day and there's still 3 hours of work, or there's still stuff that needs to be done with the kids or with the house, or there's laundry or like whatever, or I need to go and check on my mom or whatever. What happens when this thing is empty and you still have all of this stuff left to do? Now, this is something that I've never heard anyone else talk about. So hopefully it makes a lot of sense to other people too. So if I have this bottle of water for today, I get to the end of my day, I've still got 3 hours worth of work to do. Where am I going to get the energy from? Well, I'm probably not going to go to bed when I should. Make sense? Happened to me last night, actually. Probably not going to go to bed when I should, which means that tomorrow morning, I am depleted. I'm starting the day depleted. So maybe I've used that much of tomorrow's energy today just to accomplish what I needed to accomplish today. Okay. So then tomorrow I've got only this much, and I get to the end of this and oh crap, I still have stuff to do. So now we're down, say about there. All right. Then the next day I wake up even more depleted. Now I've only got half a bottle. I've got half a bottle of water to work with. I've got a half of my energy reserves to work with. Do you see what I'm saying? So what happens over time if we do this consistently, if we push, grind consistently, and we don't take time to fill our bucket, eventually we're going to wake up with an empty bottle. And that is when we start to get sick. That is when we start to get sick. We are not taking good care of ourselves. We've got nothing left to give. So the quote from the article that I want to share with you says simply this: here's a reality check. How much good are you to any of the people and things that you are juggling in your life if you're laid up for months with an illness or if you have a heart attack or stroke? How much good can you be? How much do you have left to give to your partner, your spouse, your parents, your children, your friends? How much do you have left at the end of the day that you can share with them? Okay. So that's our reason number one. You cannot serve from an empty bucket. And most of us want to be of service to the people that we love, don't we? Right. Okay. Moving on. Reason number two. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to ask for help. There is this idea that we seem to have bought into, and it goes something like, I need to be strong and I need to be independent and I don't need anybody. Okay. There's not really anything wrong with that. I want you to hear me. I'm not judging that way of being, and I lived in that way of being for a very, very, very long time. I am independent and I am strong and I do not need you. All right? So when we function in this way, the surprising thing is that it often comes from a place of fear. It often comes from this place of fear of becoming dependent on somebody else. What happens if they leave? What happens if they get sick? What happens if they die? Christine, number two is it's okay to ask for help. So the other side to that conversation is you will actually allow for a deeper relationship with your people with your tribe, with your, again, your partner, your children, your parents, your friends. You will allow for a deeper relationship to develop between you, because here's what's happening when you do go to them. When you do go to them and ask for help, here's what's happening. It shows that you trust them. It shows that you trust them, that you honor them, that they have a place of importance in your life. Because are you going to go to somebody who, are you going to go to somebody asking for help that you don't believe can help you? That would be silly, right? So it gives them a sense of value in your world. I value you enough to ask for your thoughts, your opinion, your help, your support, whatever it is. I value you. That right there will start to shift a relationship. Even those relationships that are in trouble, that can really shift very quickly. I value you. I trust you. I believe in you. I believe in you to know what I need, or to be able to provide it to me, even if that's only an ear and a shoulder to cry on, or maybe it's that I need help with a task, whatever it is. I believe in you, I trust you, and I know that you can help me with this. Now, think about that. If you have somebody in your world that comes to you and says those things, what does that do for you? What does that do for your sense of connection, for the depth that you feel for that person? What does it do for you? It causes us to think, oh man, this person, wow. I'll tell you really quickly, because I don't want to get off track with this stuff. But I went back on Facebook yesterday. I had something that I needed to do, and I haven't been on there. I had surgery a couple weeks ago, so I've been sort of, laying low and taking care of me, and filling my bucket. Been taking care of myself, so I have not engaged on Facebook for a while. I went on there yesterday morning, and there were several private messages from people who know me saying, "Hey, are you okay? I haven't seen you in a while. I haven't heard you post anything in a while. Are you all right? Is there anything you need?" Now, I hadn't made it public knowledge. I just didn't even think about it, in all honesty, that I was going in for a procedure. I didn't think about that. But all of a sudden there were all of these messages saying, "Hey, I'm thinking about you. Are you all right?" And I went, "Wow. Wow. I had no idea that you cared in a way that if I didn't show up, you might be concerned." I had no idea. So I went on and I posted just sort of a general thank you and saying, "I'm okay. So please don't worry. I'm taking care of me right now. I'm okay." And several other people then jumped on that message to say, "Hey, it's nice to see you," whatever, sending you hugs, whatever it was. So we don't know. We don't know sometimes what people mean to us, because, I'm sorry, what we mean to other people. We don't know, because they never tell us. So think about the shifts that can happen in your relationship if you make it crystal clear that I trust you, I believe in you, I know that you are the right person to help me with this. And what does it give them? What does it give them to be able to show up for us? There's an exchange. It's not a one way. I'm taking. And believe me, that affects people. It affects even if you don't think it does, it affects people to be only in the position of receiving. It is so much healthier when we've got this exchange. I help you, you help me. I help you, you help me. Whatever it is, it's so much more healthy to have those relationships where there's an exchange between the people, and it gives them a sense of, I matter. I matter to Jackie. If Because truly, if I didn't matter to Jackie, would she have asked me? No. And it's true. So think about that for a second. Now, the little blurb in the article that I'm going to share with you about that thing. By doing what you do well and allowing others to do what they do well, everything simply runs more smoothly, and you're spending your energy in the places it is best spent. Because here's the other thing: when you're functioning from your gifts and allowing others to function from their gifts, then what happens is you see this sort of well oiled machine happening, right? Things are smoother for everybody, believe it or not. When everybody's doing their thing that they do well, everything runs more smoothly for everyone, and we get our tasks done faster. It's just such a nicer way to be. Yeah, it's just such a nicer way to be. So we're going to head to our next break now. And don't forget, we're going to do number three and four when we come back. So you are with us on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott. Today we are talking about the most important relationship in your life and how to make yourself a top priority, why it's important, and how to do it. So stick with us for just a minute. We will be right back.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? Our subliminal soundtrack plays in the back of our minds 24/7. It's filled with everything we've ever learned about money, relationships, body, and sexuality, about every single aspect of our lives. If you don't have what you desire, the Subliminal Soundtrack Reset program may be the very key to changing it all. In this 8-week program, designed by Jackie Mott, you'll learn to replace messages that stop your desires with new ones that not only support you in creating what you truly desire, but expand your life to higher levels of joy and pleasure. Go to phoenixcoach.ca today to sign up and begin creating your life on purpose.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Time to Rise and Thrive show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now, back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott, and today we are talking about that most important relationship in your world, the relationship you have with you. So today we are going through this article that I wrote, 5 reasons, what is it? You need to be a top priority in your own life, something like that. I don't know. I told you I'm a little bit funny today. All right. So I just want to share with you a couple more things. There are some new programs in the work. There's a whole bunch of stuff that is coming up in the near future in the next few months. So please find us on Subliminal or on Facebook at Subliminal Mindset Mastery. Keep an eye out for the new announcements. I'll be posting everything as it comes up. But one of the most wonderful things has happened as I have been doing this recuperation process. I am not someone who sits still very well. I mean, you can see I'm kind of like all over the place, right? So I don't sit still terribly well. So I knew that when I was going into the surgery that I would need to have a little bit of time, to rest, to allow my body to heal. And I had this program that I signed up for it 2 years ago or something like that. It's called Advanced Relationship Coach Training. And so what I did was I decided that I was going to work on that because, it's easy. I can plug my computer into the the TV and watch all of the videos and write the stuff. It's easy stuff. I can allow my body to rest, right? So beautiful, because inside 2 weeks, I had completed the entire course curriculum, and I just actually finished and sent off my documentation, my reports, whatever I needed to write to send into them. I just sent it in a couple of days ago, so I should have a nice certificate coming in the mail soon. It's wonderful. It's so exciting. So I have certifications and a whole bunch of things. I'm strategic intervention coach. I now have this advanced relationship coach training under my belt. I'm also a women's empowerment coach. And the beautiful thing about that program was that they actually threw in something that they call the Goddess Project. The Goddess Project. Can you imagine? Doesn't that sound yummy? So I've started working on that a little bit here and there this week, even as I'm coming back to work. So there are all kinds of new things that are going to be coming up. One of the things that I'm going to throw out there to you right now is I do have a complimentary session that I do with new people, or people that are just struggling and need a hand for a few minutes. You go to www.bookacallwithjackie.com, www.bookacallwithjackie.com. And I now have learned the perfect exercise to do with you in just a few minutes, and it'll be fun. It'll be revealing so that I can figure out what it is that we're working with, and we can come up with a plan on how to support you as you are working through the challenges, whatever they may be. All right. So go to www.bookacallwithjackie, and you can pick the time, set it up, and you and I'll have some time together and have some fun. All right. Yay. So now we are going to head to reason number 3. Are you ready? Have you got your pen? Reason number 3: you're actually not helping anybody by trying to do it all. You are actually not helping anyone by trying to do it all. So, have you ever considered that, you know, other people have their own journey? And this is a hard one. It was a hard one for me, and I think for a lot of other people, because we have these ideas about, especially what does it mean to be a mom? Oh, I'm supposed to take care of him and nurture him, and yes, and he has his own path, and he needs to make his own mistakes, because that's how we learn. So if you are a person who is constantly, donning that cape and tights and swooping into other people's lives to rescue them when something goes wrong, you are doing them a disservice. People need to fall sometimes so that they can figure out how to get back up. That is the truth. It's not an easy truth. It's not an easy pill to swallow. It is not an easy thing to put into action when you see someone you love is hurting or struggling. It is not easy, but it is very, very important for us to get clear on what is our job and what is not, so that we don't impede someone else's progress, so we don't interfere with their learning. And this can happen in all relationships. It doesn't have to just be, parent and child. It can be siblings, it can be friends, it can be marriages, it can be whatever. So just think about that. Are you one of these people, like I used to be? I am a confessed reformed saver, okay? Are you like that, where you see someone you hurt, or see someone that you love hurting, and you must jump into action? You must save them. You must help them. They need to walk their own path, my friend. They need to learn whatever it is that they're here to learn. Okay? So we are doing them a disservice. That's the one thing. Consider this one might be a little bit ouchy, okay? Consider the lessons that you are teaching your children by not allowing them to be a contribution, or by presenting the example that you are responsible for everything. What example are you presenting? What are you giving them to base those messages, those subliminal soundtrack messages? Are you in the space where you're saying, okay, so mom and dad, or dad and dad, or mom and mom, however it works in your world, we're a team and we work together, and we work together to do the best we can for you children. Do you see what I'm saying? We work together. Or are you saying, no, you know what? Nobody else has to do anything. It's all on me. I'm going to work and I'm going to take care of the kids and I'm going to take care of the house and I'm going to pay the bills and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and I'm going to take care of the aging parents and nobody has to worry about anything. I've got it. I've got it. What are you presenting as the example of what a woman's role is? What are you presenting? I told you that one's kind of ouchy, right? Yeah. Because it comes from a loving space. It comes from a place of I want to love you. I want to take care of you. I want to help you. It comes from a very loving place. And it's not helpful. Okay? Again, we need to start to shift. And I think women in my generation maybe are sort of it's a challenge, right? Because my generation is sort of where it started to turn from mom stayed home and dad worked, not always, but mom stayed home and dad worked, into mom and dad both work. And the truth of the matter is that women have now taken on that role, and the vast majority are still, you know, I don't want to give you a number, but like 75% responsible for the house, 80%. Do you see what I'm saying? So we are carrying both the same responsibilities in working and making a living, and we're still carrying the bulk of the responsibilities at home. So we are actually taking on like all of it, all of it. It's too much. And, the other thing is, we talked about this can't serve from an empty bucket, but you also can't, you've got too many balls in the air. Something's going to drop. Something's going to drop. And you don't want to drop your kids or your spouse or your own health or your parents or any of the people that you love, right? So again, we've got to start to look at this from a different perspective. You don't want to drop those balls because they are far too important. Okay. Now I'm getting that finger waved at me, so I need to move on to the next one. But just quickly, our highlighted text for reason number 3 is this. By making yourself the only person who can do things, you are not giving others the chance to learn to do them for themselves. And you are not giving others the opportunity to give back to you. And we somehow believe that taking time for ourselves is selfish. How about making other people dependent on you and depriving them of the joy of doing something nice for someone else? Something to consider. All right. So, reason number 4, moving right along. You are not and do not have to be Superwoman. You are not and you do not have to be Superwoman. So, where did we ever get the idea that pushing ourselves to the point of exhaustion is actually a contribution to anybody? I would love to know where that idea actually came from. It is, if you like, you don't even have to think hard about this. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. And would you expect anyone else in your life to push themselves to the point of exhaustion in order to placate or make you happy or make your life easier? Or are you more open to that give and take, that, you know what, you're tired today, I've got this. I've got this. You don't need to worry about it today. And tomorrow, maybe I'm tired and you can take it from me. Do you see what I'm saying? We need to share responsibilities. We need to share our load, especially with the people who matter most to us. Christine says people put way too much value on working hard and giving to others. What do we reward in this world? You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, Christine. And that's exactly what today's show is all about. What do we reward? So, going back to number 1, who can you help if you're completely depleted? If this bottle is empty and you've got nothing left, you can't even help yourself, my friend. And truly, if you put yourself in an early grave, who do you help? You can't be there for your kids. You can't be there for your spouse or your parents or any of the people who matter to you if you are no longer here. So please hear this. Please hear this. You are important. You are important and valuable, and you need to take care of you. All right. So our highlight. Oh, sorry. One more point. We're going to get real for just a second here. How much fun do you actually think that you are to be around when you're tired and cranky because you've been pushing yourself too hard? Hmm. What kind of relationship might you have, or what might shift, maybe is a better way to say that, in your relationships if you were taking care of you and you were filling your bucket and you had more to give to others because you weren't exhausted? Might shift some stuff, huh? Hmm? Yeah, yeah. So our highlight for this point is, what would happen if you took off the cape? Oh, we already said this. Took off the cape and tights and resigned as Superwoman and just became you. Would that allow more space for you to function from? What I can promise you is the mountains will not crumble and the earth will not go hurtling toward the sun. Would you be willing to consider that by simply honoring and taking care of yourself, you may relax and be much more fun to be around? Hmm. And what could change in your life and your relationships with the people that you care about? See, it's kind of yummy. I know it's tough pills to swallow. I know some of this probably flies in the face of what some of us have heard our entire lives, but I promise you, it makes a difference. So we are going to head to our last break now. You are with me on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott. When we come back, I'm going to give you reason number 5. I'm going to give you some of the hows and what's to do. And we're going to wrap up this conversation about the most important relationship in your life, the relationship you have with you. So stick with us. We will be right back.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? Our subliminal soundtrack plays in the back of our minds 24/7. It's filled with everything we've ever learned about money, relationships, body, and sexuality, about every single aspect of our lives. If you don't have what you desire, the Subliminal Soundtrack Reset program may be the very key to changing it all. In this 8-week program, designed by Jackie Mott, you'll learn to replace messages that stop your desires with new ones that not only support you in creating what you truly desire, but expand your life to higher levels of joy and pleasure. Go to phoenixcoach.ca today to sign up and begin creating your life on purpose.
This is the Time to Rise and Thrive show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now, back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to the final segment of today's show. You're with me on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott, and I have one little thing from our dear friend Christine, our wonderful producer today. She says, I find so many women get upset with these truths because they don't know who they are and what their true value can be to the world, and most especially to themselves. And you are absolutely right, Christine. And I think that this last point is going to drive that home. That is my hope. So reason number 5, are you ready? Reason number 5 is, believe it or not, you deserve it. You deserve it. Do you hear me? I know this one, man, and it's all of that. It's that conditioning. It's that stuff in the back of our mind. It's the information that we've picked up that has told us that maybe we're not worthy, or maybe we're not good, or like whatever it is, right? There's so many different messages that can be sitting back there, and they're playing on that loop all day, every day. You know, if you don't know they're there and you don't know what to do with them, even if you do know that they're there, they will impact how you be. You are a gift. You are an amazing creature, unique and beautiful in your own right. There has never been another you. You deserve it. So here's a question I'm going to ask you. I know, get ready. Would you want your daughter, your sister, your mother, your friend, any other woman that you love, would you want them to live the way that you do right now? Is that your wish for them? Consider that for a second. And this is our last quote from the article for the show. So now please ask yourself this question: why do you deserve any less? The simple answer is you don't. By taking care of you and making yourself a top priority in your life, you are teaching your children and everyone else around you that you are of value and you deserve to enjoy your life. And by extension, that every woman is of value and deserves to be treated with respect. How better to teach than by example? You deserve it. It's that simple. You deserve it. So now, here's a really quick on the how, because we're running out of time here on the show. I kind of get going sometimes about this stuff. I get kind of excited, right? Yay. Okay, so the how. I've got a few steps here. First thing that you do is you figure out what you're doing that is not serving you. What are you doing that is a waste of your time, that is not you functioning from your gifts that you can hand off to somebody else? And I want to be clear. If you can get your kids involved in this, the self-esteem that you will help them build by making them an active contributor to the family, it is going to blow your mind. And even little kids can wash off some grapes or an apple or whatever, that maybe they can throw together a little sandwich. They can help. They can help pick up their toys. They can help pick up their garbage. They can do all kinds of stuff. So allow them to be a contribution to the family. You might be amazed at the shifts that can make in a child's world or in their family. The second thing is allow yourself to remember. Allow yourself to remember those things that used to make you unique and beautiful, that would make your heart sing, that would bring you joy and happiness and light you up. I guarantee you at some point in your life, maybe you were a little child, maybe a teenager or a young adult, I don't know. But at some point in your life, you had something. You had something that made you happy. Okay? Figure out what those things were. How can you bring them into your world and intentionally make that a priority to bring that fun or that experience back into your world right now? The last step is we get stuck. We get stuck. So again, www.bookacallwithjackie.com, because this is where I come in. I help you take that stuck and turn it into something different that will actually push you forward, that will push you toward becoming the person that you want, having the life you want. All right. So www.bookacallwithjackie.com. Call me. We will have a conversation. We'll start to get this thing on track for you. All right. So that's what I've got for you today. The quote that I'm going to leave you with is: you are the only you that has ever been. You're the only person who has ever or will ever have the exact same combination of gifts, talents, challenges, and experiences that only you possess. You are unique and beautiful and special, and you deserve everything that you would want for the people that you love. That's what I'm going to leave you with today. Thank you so much for joining us on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. We will be back next Friday at, 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 Mountain, and 10 Pacific. Next week's show is going to be called High Vibes. Ooh, I'm going to be actually sharing with you some of the tools that I have learned in this most recent training, why we go into story and roll around in the muck, and how to shift it into a higher vibe. It's going to be exciting. Be with me again next week. So thank you again so much for being with me today. I so appreciate your time, your energy, your contribution to me, to the show, to the world in general. You're amazing. Thank you so much again. Have a wonderful week. And please remember, it is your time to rise and thrive. Join me again next Friday. Have a great week.
Thank you for joining us for Time to Rise and Thrive radio show. Jackie Mott will return next Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Have a fantastic week, and remember, it's your time to rise and thrive.